Hey there folks, I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and it's Billboard Breakdown. I don't remember. You know, there's at least a part of me that's kind of grateful the Hot 100 has slowed down a bit. It's indicative of the times where it seems like mainstream pop music is the last thing on anybody's mind, and that's probably how it should be for a little bit. But there is a very real likelihood that it's gonna wind up cascading onto the charts over the next couple of weeks. Which is weird for me, because given the light speed in which everything is moving in real time, going back to check old tracking weeks for the Hot 100, it's kind of strange. You just feel like months away instead of just days, but hey, old systems move slowly, and many of them should be just abolished or rebuilt from the ground up, if you catch my drift. But enough of me being coy here, our top 10, where for our second week, Rockstar by DaBaby and Roddy Ricch holds the number 1, breaking the cycle of the top spot rotating for the past month. And really, if nothing else breaks its streaming, it could hold for a little bit, especially with strong sales and a bit of a radio run supporting it. And again, it's a margins game against Savage from Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce, which holds on to number 2 with better sales and radio, but slightly weaker streaming. And I don't really trust her radio strength either. Then we got Blinding Lights by The Weeknd at number 3, which actually picked up sales and streaming this week, but has peaked on the radio. And despite resting on top there, will probably start its descent sooner rather than later, which could open up an opportunity for Say So by Doja Cat and Nicki Minaj at number 4, but her streaming is slipping and her radio is falling even harder and faster, which isn't good, because Intentions by Justin Bieber featuring Quavo is now on a radio run and picked up 3 spots to number 5. Looks like he's just been working to wait out the competition. Wonderful. So of course it slid right past Tootsie Slide by Drake at number 6, which thanks to streaming is holding while the radio can't dump it fast enough, and this opens up things for Rose's I'm Back remix by St. John at number 7, which picked up its own radio run and does have real strength across the board, because it's a serious challenger. Hell, it blew right past Don't Start Now by Dua Lipa at number 8, which with its own radio collapse is very much on the way out. Then we got The Box by Roddy Ricch holding at number 9, even as the radio tries to get rid of it too. Streaming is still rock solid, but also falling off pretty fast is Rain on Me by Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande at number 10, which I expect will recover thanks to sales and the radio run, but the way its streaming numbers are just collapsing, especially in on-demand, yeah, it might have a tough road ahead. But on that note, our losers and dropouts, where it's actually going to be a pretty short conversation, where the biggest of the latter category is Godzilla by Eminem and the late Juice WRLD clinching its year-end spot. Hell, not a good week for Juice WRLD as a whole, as his song Tell Me You Love Me, debuting with Trippie Redd last week, fell down to 77, along with Sour Candy by Lady Gaga and Blackpink down at 82, because Chromatica single combined with K-pop does not guarantee any sort of chart staying power. But we also don't have much in the way of gains and returns here either, and more questionable country than I'd like. Yes, 21 by Polo G's back at 98, but it came back with Catch by Brett Young at 96, and Cool Again by Kane Brown at 85. And it's a similar story when we get to our gains. Yes, I'm happy that Die From a Broken Heart by Maddie and Tay is still rising up to 60, and I'll stick up for Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles on the radio run at 29. It's kinda grown on me. But right behind it, we got We Paid by Lil Baby and 42 Dugg at 34, Go Crazy by Chris Brown and Young Thug at 37, and Like That by Doja Cat featuring Gucci Mane at 79 off the debut. And on the point of questionable country and country adjacent songs, we also saw Boost for One Beer by Hardy, Lauren Rolena, and Devin Dawson at 87, and July by Noah Cyrus and Leon Bridges at 88. I'll be honest, I'm a lot more interested in the milder radio run that Pussy Fairy by Jhené Aiko is doing, because between it and Out West by Jack Boys and Young Thug, it seems like Billboard is treating their 20-week recurrent rules with some casual disinterest. I'm not gonna complain that much, but it's worth noting. But going back to country, it's a solid half of our short list of new arrivals, so let's start off with number 100, Worldwide Beautiful by Kane Brown.
Black and white. Tell me how you gonna change your mind if your heart's unmovable.
This is what I was worried about coming from Kane Brown. I knew that at some point, given how Kane Brown is a person of color working in Nashville, he'd be politely coaxed into making a song like this, where if you're only seeing black and white, you're not seeing the whole picture, because we're all big one family under God. And am I the only one who thinks it's a little tone deaf to drop this right now? I mean, even if he was, let's be charitable, say he was targeting the Pride audience, he wasn't trying to soothe any sort of racial tension, the frequent evocation of God across the majority of the song does not help. What also doesn't help is the terrible production. How cheap the canned drums sound blended in with the drum machines, a blur of badly chipmunk vocals that introduce the goddamn song and they repeatedly will come back, the overwrought gospel blending, the awkward lyrical cadence. I mean, at best it's trickly and ham-fisted, and yet not even with the over-the-top bombast that made Love Wins by Carrie Underwood somewhat tolerable for me, whereas at worst, no. Just no. Number 95, Hard Days by Brantley Gilbert.
If you never had a heartbreak, never had more than you can take, or carried away a life on your shoulders.
I've said this before, even this year. We don't need Brantley Gilbert to come back. Hell, I thought his career was flaming out 5 years ago, but now apparently he's getting more traction again with a new song, and it's actually okay. Yeah, there are problems with it, mostly the fact that it's sung by Brantley Gilbert, who doesn't have much in the way of vocal presence or power for the pretty rote rock touches that were dated in his brand of country 8 years ago. But I will say the guitars and the drums do feel pretty organic, even if there's nothing in the way of groove, and I like the songwriting here, questioning how much you can really appreciate the good things in life if you don't have hard times to place them in context. And the more religious references here feel a little more sober and reflective, albeit sketched a little broadly. Honestly, it doesn't even feel that much of anything I would expect from Brantley Gilbert, so either he's growing up a little bit at the age of 35, or he's found a song that'll probably play better coming from Luke Combs or maybe even Keith Urban these days, but as it is, it's fine. But on a better note, number 93, One Night Standards by Ashley McBryde.
Can't you just use me like I'm using you?
Okay, I don't want to overhype this. Hell, on some level, given her industry backing, I've been inclined to say this was going to happen eventually anyway. But yeah, Ashley McBryde has finally hit the Hot 100. I reviewed her excellent album, Never Will, earlier this year on my main channel, Spectrum Pulse, and while this would not be my favorite from the album, probably be either Stone or the title track, it's still a great song. Jay Joyce's production doesn't feel overworked or forced, which lets the electric guitars ebb across the sharper percussion and the acoustic groove before we actually get a solid solo. And I like how there's enough melancholic sourness that creeps through the lyrics, and how both people are just using each other and they're gonna make the best of it at the end. Ashley McBryde has described this as an exercise in honesty, and the attention to detail really does reinforce that, hell, it's a third-rate romance, low-rent rendezvous, but they're gonna get something out of it at least. So yeah, not especially a happy country song, but I'm very happy it's here. Great song, check it out, absolutely worth hearing. Unlike number 90, Mamacita by the Black Eyed Peas, Ozuna, and J.Rey Soul. Are we really gonna do this? Okay, I had questions about bringing back Brantley Gilbert, but we sure as hell don't need to bring back the goddamn Black Eyed Peas doing bad reggaeton. Reggaeton fans don't want this. I can't imagine Black Eyed Peas fans want this, and even as someone who was charitable to their last project, I don't want it either. Especially when you got Ozuna and J.Rey Soul, and in her case basically playing the undercooked Fergie role with a very liberal interpolation of La Isla Bonita. So, again, just like Ritmo, we got basically a photocopy of a song. Only this time with even more pitch shifting, scratchy drum machines, and the Black Eyed Peas trying desperately to expand their market share into playing to some obvious Latin tropes in both lyrics and delivery. It's just so transparently phony and canned. Ritmo at least had the big sample. This is just hollow. And it leaves me questioning how in the nine hells Madonna got away with La Isla Bonita back in 1987. So yeah, it ain't good either. Next, number 80, Deep End Freestyle by Sleepy Hollow.
Cooking up, I'm in the kitchen. Big bro wildin' trying to catch a victim. I took a L, but now I'm back, gang winning. Look, and I'm doing well. Don't even ask how I'm living.
Okay, follow me on this. Sleepy Hollow is a Brooklyn rapper. From what I can tell on his YouTube channel, he's been active since about a year. And this is something that apparently went viral, and I'm not sure why. Because unless the TikTok presence behind this is bigger than I observed, it's basically a repeated sample with a very minimal beat and a keening tune that cuts in midway through, and he just raps about guns, screwing some girl, calling out people who aren't real. I'll be honest, this sounds barely even finished. It can't even run 2 minutes, and it's pretty bereft of unique content even then. I mean, the best thing I'll say is that the rapper himself has an okay flow. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a slower, more methodical DaBaby with a smattering of Tyler, the Creator. But other than that, it's a fragment that got viral for a minute. I don't think it'll last. Let's move on. And finally, number 64, Other Side of America by Meek Mill.
I was fucking up my car money, selling soap like it's China white. OG said you fucking a block up. I was mad, I was trying to fight.
You know, at first glimpse, it completely makes sense for Meek Mill to deliver a song that speaks on these issues in 2020. He's come out the other side of the justice system. He's found new success while not losing his edge. And he's gotten a lot more conscious in recent years with an anthemic focus to go bigger, go for more. So maybe it's on me that this doesn't quite hit as strongly as it could. Part of this is the feeling that the timing doesn't do it a lot of favors, especially when you hear that he originally intended St. John and the late Nipsey Hussle to be on this, which tells me it's been in development for a little while, which could have been fine if it felt more targeted in addressing the broken systems than it does. Oh, I mean, it gets close. Meek Mill references the neighborhood's caught in a cycle of violence and the trap, and he tells the folks within to do whatever they can to feed their families and get the hell out, because that system sure as hell isn't gonna get them there. But that plays more to a lonely, individualist DIY approach than any sort of broader unification we're seeing now. And it doesn't quite mirror the current times in the same way. Even if Meek Mill's furious delivery off the big horns and the explosive hook have that street-level reporting tone nailed perfectly. I'm also not really fond of how he flipped the opening sample from the current POS-in-chief down south, which describes in explicit detail systemic disenfranchisement of black people, and yet the implied offer to vote for him because what else do they have to lose? And yet, given how things have gotten worse in recent years, I'm not sure it lands really all that right as a call to action, even if Meek Mill's trying to recontextualize it. I mean, still, it's a furious and potent song all the same. I think it's gonna hold its fire outside of the immediate conflict. The hook is that great, but I do think One Night Standards by Ashley McBryde slightly edges it out for the best of the week. While the worst is going to Worldwide Beautiful by Kane Brown, because while the new Black Eyed Peas song is dumb, it's a little bit better produced, it's at least forgettable, and it wasn't nearly as disappointing. Why did I have expectations for Kane Brown again? Anyway, next week, again, it might be kind of slow. There's just not much moving right now. We'll have to see. But until then, I'm Mark. You're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Pulse. And I'll